Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Safari Pedal Show. I'm your host, Abby. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Crazy Wild Safari Podcast Do Thing Wild bandwagon. It's great to have y'all here. Guys, today is a very exciting day here in the Safari Pedals World Podcast thing ether because Suzy Shinn is going to be on the show today. She is a producer, engineer, songwriter, really cool, wears many audio hats gal. We are going to be diving into all things guys, please give a very warm Safari welcome to Suzy Shinn. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Abby. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for hopping on the bandwagon. Really appreciate it.
I'm excited to be here. This will be fun.
Same here. So before we dive in, let's start with who you are, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Cool. Yeah. Well, my name's Suzy Shinn. I'm a music producer, songwriter, all kinds of things based out of Los Angeles, California. And I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas, but I've been here for like over a decade making records with bands and artists of all kinds.
That's awesome. Since you do so many cool things, what came first in the chain for you, and how did you get into the whole world of audio and production as well?
Great question. What came first was learning to play an instrument, I think. Like my mom made me start playing guitar, and I was obsessed with my little voice lessons in like kindergarten, preschool. So that, and then like really like I discovered songwriting and putting my songs on MySpace and recording them myself. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was just trying to put music on MySpace. And that's kind of what started it all, was my little singer-songwriter / garage band in Kansas when I was like 12.
That's awesome. And what brought you out to LA, and like at what moment were you like, okay, this is a career, this is a thing, let's run with that?
For the career choice, like I think if you would have asked me when I was like 3 or 7 or 12 or 16, it was always music. I wanted to do music when I grew up. I think I even said like I want to do music. It wasn't like I want to be a pop star or a songwriter. It was like I want to do music. Strangely. So it was always that. And then what brought me to LA was I was in college over at Berkeley in Boston. I think I was like, it had been maybe my second year there. And because my head told me you have to go to college, even if you want to be a rock star, you got to get a rock star degree. So I was there and I got an internship out in LA at a little studio place, and for a summer internship. And after the summer was over, like I was so broke. I couldn't fly home Boston. I couldn't fly back to Boston. And the place I was at was like, you can go spend a bunch of more money and graduate, or you can stay here. And so it was never this big decision. It was like, okay, well, I can't afford to go back to college, so I'm just going to stay here for a little 12 years ago. So yeah, 10 years ago. I don't know how long it was.
Wow, just a few. A
couple of years ago. Yesterday.
A short 10 years. So since you've been in LA doing the thing for a short 10 years, plus a little bit, more or less, in all the experiences that you've gathered, I'm really curious, like from everything you've seen, do you have like maybe a few qualities or things that to you defines a good producer, and a producer that can, or qualities that a producer has that can help them have a long career?
Yeah, I think what's going to help anyone have a long career is perseverance, like not giving up. I always say this because, that law degree, that job as a teacher, that whatever is going to look really, really, really good when you've been eating ramen for like 6 months straight and you can't pay rent. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's what's going to make you have a long career. My friends and I, we say that the only people who don't make it are the ones that quit. And I fully believe that. And then the second thing for me is being kind, not in a sense like that you're cordial and using like polite language, but like being a good person and you know, treating your friends well and treating the people that you work with well, and you know, finding your little team and your family, and you know, not being known as like a dickhead. That's going to take you a really, really long way too.
I definitely hope that would be sounds like a good place to start.
It's a good foundation.
Yes. And on that point, it's fascinating you say that. And this is a theme that keeps on coming back on the podcast, that literally every producer, every engineer that I've spoken to, without fail, who does this full time, has said the key is just being a nice person.
It's real. It's a real thing. You know, you're spending, sure, on a short day, maybe like 5, 6 hours, but sometimes 12, 14, 16 hours with this person in a room for days, weeks, months on end. Like, you don't want to be around someone that makes you feel on edge or gives you anxiety, or like you pick up the phone and their name is there and your heart starts racing because of the bad emotions that you have, like, you know, the conditioning, whatever. It'll take you, that alone will take you a long way.
Maybe going in a more technical direction, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. From all of the experience that you've gathered, when you approach production, engineering, songwriting, whatever it may be, do you have like a certain outlook or philosophy that comes with the way that you operate?
I think it always kind of depends on like my approach, like from artist to artist. I'm really big on capturing the emotion in a song and like leaving things a bit imperfect, and not, you know, quantizing in my preference, like everything's hard to the grid and everything being perfect. I love the flaws. I think the music that I grew up listening to has slight flaws in it. And so like that's what I try to capture, is always like serving the song and maybe like the mood of that moment in time. And I'm also like big on, you know, whether we're taking a lo-fi approach of like going through a 4-track or using the Apollo in my office in the back, or we're like going the hi-fi, whatever, is like I go down the rabbit holes of being a freak, researching of like, okay, here's how we're going to do the drums. Well, here's how this record from the 90s did the drums. And here's this. And now I need this microphone and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's like another like approach I have. I love doing a lot of like, before, you know, we even got into record, like the first downbeat of the thing is being like prepared in that sense when I'm going in to produce a record. Yeah, I think like, you know, convincing yourself that you need something to make a great record, I get into that mindset too. I look at some producers and I'm like, of course you made this song. You've had $1 million of equipment and vintage synths and guitars and the best drum room in the world. Yeah, I think everyone can get stuck in it. It's really just an excuse. You know, I watch my friends make incredible sounds on their laptop sitting on the couch, you know? So there's really no excuse. Yeah, people use Alex G uses GarageBand from what I've heard. Like you can make something great with absolutely anything if you want to. If you don't want to, you can be like, well, I can't work because I don't have a Mellotron, or my vocal doesn't sound good because I don't have a CL1B. I know a girl that has a hit song on the internet who sang into her Apple earbuds, and people can like wince and cringe at that, but she did it and it didn't stop her. She used what she had, you know?
And it goes to what you said about the emotion being there and moving people at the end of the day.
If you have a great song and if you have that emotion, like you have someone who's like really like singing that song, and like I don't mean like you know, like it could be the quietest vocal in the world, but if they really mean every word that they say, and it's a fucking great song, and record it any kind of way, and it is going to shine through.
This podcast in general is centered around, one of the main themes is starting out, being new, being up and coming. Do you have any pieces of advice more specifically for producers, engineers, songwriters that are just starting out?
Ooh, my best piece of advice to anyone starting out is just learn. learn, and make music, and like don't be too precious with anything. Like someone just starting, like no one, the world isn't waiting for your drop, you know? So just like put it out and make something else and play shows if that's what you want to do, or put your songs on SoundCloud, or wherever it is that you are seeing other people, like whatever it is that's going to get your music out into the world and get someone to listen to it. I think that's huge. And saying yes to every opportunity, like as someone who's just starting out, like, hey, you got hit up for this session, it doesn't really pay that well, but you could learn. Like every opportunity is an opportunity to learn and get better, and no is the enemy of that. And that goes for like in the room, like collaborating with people. I always take it from like the improv world as like yes, and like no shuts down the room, and being right shuts down the room. I'm a very patient person, so when I'm working, like even in my head, if like someone wants to try this thing and I'm like, it's not gonna sound good, I don't say that. That would be like the worst thing I could say. I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's try it. And I like, we try that idea. I think that's a big thing. And then they realize, everyone realizes, we come to the consensus is that is not working. But learning guitar, learning piano, learning Pro Tools, learning Ableton, and getting really good at your DAW, whatever that may be, like it should be a language to you. You don't think about it when you're using it. That's kind of my big pieces of advice.
I absolutely loved how the analogy of improv, like the yes and like being aware of that energy. I'm gonna absolutely take that one for future reference.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, and there's another really big thing that I have is if you don't like what you're hearing and you want to voice that opinion, like absolutely that's fine, but like always having something else to try. Hey, I don't like that, but what if it went like this instead? Not just, hey, I don't like that. Like, what good does that do? You could even say, hey, I don't like that. Like, what if we muted it? I think it could have some more open space there. That would be even better than saying, I don't like that.
And just leaving it like
negative.
It's
like, and I fully believe, like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not like what you do, what you play, blah, blah, blah in life. It's what you say. Like, and it's not so much what you say. It's like how you're saying these things, how you're communicating with the artist or the producer or the songwriter. Yeah. There's a million ways to say no. And there's a million ways to say yes, and to get the song across the finish line. And that goes with psychology and like communication and social skills, and being kind is how you can communicate your ideas in the room.
I love that. And also how you put an emphasis on like offering a solution, just a solution, like an alternative that's like little mind-blowing thing for sure.
Absolutely.
To sum up everything that we spoke about regarding all production, music things, I always love to ask our guests to either drop, it can be a piece of advice or just anything you want to generally say to the amazing Safari viewers. So do you have any additional things to drop to the people?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like we've covered a lot of it. I think being kind, having social sense, and like putting out music and keep making stuff and keep learning. That's really, if you do that, and another big thing is being in the right place at the right time. I wouldn't be here if I was still in Wichita, maybe I would, highly doubt it. But like, the place you are and the fact that you're just, hey, can you come to this session? Yes. Because I'm in LA, or whether it's Philadelphia, New York, Atlanta, being where the opportunity is, like that's, if you want to make it like a career, that's huge.
Gotta get my Pro Tools on, gotta start the relocation plans, gonna put it all into action after this episode. Heck yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Thank you so much for hopping on and sharing so many gems. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Abby, so much for having me. You were awesome to talk to.
expect it. I'm in the gym, but I am not flexing. Came from a